their rallies with just about 40 days to the rematch or the fresh presidential election that will be taking place on the 17th. All right, I want us to come back to my guests here in studio. And Opio and I don't know what you have to say about ODM not being able to get any seat this time round in Nyamira and Kisii counties. What happened?
Well, it's not true. That ODM has not been able to get any seat in Nyamira and Kisii counties. Well, you know clearly that ODM has clinched both seats, the 2 seats of governors, the 2 counties.
Well, it's true. Governors, indeed, yes.
Indeed, the senators for the 2 counties, the women rep for Kisii, and so on and so forth. The fact of the matter is, again, that other NASA parties have clinched a number of parliamentary seats in the 2 counties. But having said that, in view of what transpired at the Supreme Court, it's really not possible for one to say who won or who lost in these elections. A number of petitions are coming up for various seats, in respect to various seats in the counties. And the truth can only emerge once the petitions are heard and determined. So our position remains that this entire election was bungled.
That includes your re-election?
Well, I'm saying if in most of the constituencies and wards and counties, elections were bungled deliberately to advantage Jubilee. And this is a matter that will be determined once the petitions are concluded. Yes.
All right. Nyoro, what do you have to say about this?
It's good you brought the table comparatively from 2013 up to now the 2017 elections. Because clearly you can say all manner of things and use all words to describe something, but figures are always very direct. And clearly you can see that the Jubilee Party and their affiliates, of course, we gained in Nyamira and Kisii counties, insofar as votes cast to the other candidates are concerned. And of course, definitely, votes cast to our presidential candidate is concerned. And I think this is the right direction we are taking as Kenyans, where we have to base our leaders on the basis of merit, and we are slowly accepting development politics. Because clearly, the people who shifted their allegiance to the party they voted for in 2013, coming to Jubilee in 2017, definitely the gap is filled by the development and the work that we have done as the Jubilee Party and the Jubilee government for the last 4.5 years.
But Mheshimiwa is saying that some of these elections were bungled.
I want to tell Mheshimiwa direct. I am a member of parliament for Kiharu. I had agents in every stream. Going to the IEBC portal, and the figures I got from my agents, they all tally. But which is a better way to describe something or to sell wine than to drink it? Mheshimiwa, you have a chance to redeem yourself, your thoughts, and your principles. Resign from being the MP now, and then we'll start taking the principle you start for.
You know, Betty, my friend, my colleague is still learning the ropes. You know, as we speak, there is clearly no election results for the presidential contest.
Yes, yes.
Because they've been nullified. That's the fact. So we can't be talking about things that don't exist. And secondly, on the matter of me resigning or not, it's neither here nor there. What I've said is that in many of the constituencies and counties, our strong position is that the elections were bungled. I haven't said my election was bungled. And if there's anybody who has a feeling that my election was bungled, yeah, perhaps it was too difficult for them to bungle my election. Yes, yeah, and that's why I'm not resigning.
Right.
But we have petitioned the elections of a number of MPs and governors.
Yes.
And the truth shall emerge once the petitions are determined. And this must be made very clear, Betty. The matter of election bungling in this country had reached a level that if nothing was done, could cause a social problem.
All right.
Yes, and I'm happy that finally the truth has come out. But I will say something on this matter of the IBC, if you allow me.
Yes, we're getting there. We're getting there, Mheshimiwa. I just want us to move from, Nyamira and Kisii counties and all those issues and come back and speak about the Supreme petition from NASA. And, of course, IBC came out yesterday and said that October 17th is the date. Already this morning, we understand that NASA leader Raila Odinga has come out to say that they do not agree with that date because there were no consultations between all the stakeholders with IBC. First first of all, is there any provision that allows IEBC to consult with the stakeholders on when to hold these elections, or is it a preserve of the Commission? I'll start with you, Nyoro.
Betty,
yeah.
My biggest worry, and it's the same worry with most of the Jubilee supporters, is that probably we are being treated into a circus that will be headless. We held our elections, we went to the courts, or the NASA went to the courts. We are now going back to another ballot. But even before that, they are already castigating IEBC. They are already uncomfortable with the date, because we believe, and I believe, so this is my opinion, that Raila Odinga and NASA are not interested in an election. That is the reason why even when they went to courts, it was nothing about figures. It was about trivialities. It was about technicalities. Because when they look at their numbers, definitely they don't believe that their numbers are sufficient enough to take them to State House. And I would want to hear from NASA, and especially from my colleague here, whether they are actually really interested in an election.
Would they not be interested for them to go to the Supreme Court and go through the whole trouble
of
making us go for a fresh election?
Especially to create a crisis. And if you look at there is no better way of judging predicting the future, but by judging the past. If you look at the past, the tendency of Jubilee, even within this election and its preparedness, you can clearly see that they have orchestrated a plan to join the government without the power of the people.
Opio, and I am happy that you're here to comment on
Betty,
that.
That's a tired narrative. Yeah, that Raila and ODM or NASA are not interested in elections. Nothing could be further from the truth. But let me say one thing. The IBC was directed by the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya to conduct repeat presidential elections within a period of 60 days. Those 60 days actually elapsed on or about 1st of November.
Yes.
Okay? Now, the IBC comes up and declares that these elections should now be held on the 17th of October. Clearly losing out about 14 days, which are very significant in terms of preparedness. Okay? And this following closely after one Matiang'i, a cabinet secretary in the dying regime, has suggested that these elections must be held on or before 17th to give room for the national examinations to take place.
Exactly.
You know, examinations or anything of the sort are not constitutional matters. Nothing stops this country from conducting the examinations in December, even in January next year, and giving room for elections of a president who is going to govern this country for the next 5 years.
Isn't that disenfranchising the students?
Well, you see, we have postponed elections the examinations in the past. We have varied the dates of the examinations. We have even varied dates of school terms, and the world has not come to an end. But we're talking about a constitutional timeline, as dictated by the Constitution itself and also by the pronouncement of the Supreme Court.
Right.
But that is one. Two, the IBC, as we know it, is not adequately prepared to conduct these elections. Firstly, there are serious issues to do with the personnel within the IBC itself, which need to be fixed before these elections can be conducted. The Supreme Court itself clearly indicted the IBC, and the IBC is not complete to carry out these reforms within itself, and yet it goes ahead to shoot itself in the foot by denying itself enough time, which has been given to prepare for these elections.
All right, do you agree with him?
I of course don't agree.
They have quite a number of things. First of all, they have to clean up house according to some issues that were brought about some of the officials.
And do procurement.
This is my point. If you have the numbers, it doesn't matter whether it is tomorrow, it doesn't matter whether it is 17th or even on the 1st of November. If you have the numbers are intact, there is nothing to worry about. But I find it very careless when we want to subjugate as a very important matter, like the examination for our kids, just to fulfill an ambition of us as politicians. I think it is high time we stop seeing ourselves as politicians as the pinnacle of what Kenya should be revolving around. I believe the time given by IEBC is within their legal means. It is within the legal timeline. They were given at most 60 days. So making it 40 or 30 or even 10 is within what was ordered by the courts. And I believe giving us like 45 days for campaigns is sufficient enough to go to the ground, remind our people, and if the numbers are there, if they were there in the first place, clearly it will manifest whatever amount of time you are given to campaign.
But really, okay,
we are not talking about really what is legal or not. We are talking about prudence. We all know that it is within the IBC's powers to call for those elections even tomorrow.
Exactly.
So long as it's within the 60 days.
yes.
But is it prudent to do so? That's the question you need to ask.
Is prudence calling after 60 days?
Well, just listen. You need to do some more listening as you mature into this game. You know, Betty, the matter of presidential election is not just about numbers. It's not about presidential candidates, Raila Odinga or Uhuru Kenyatta or Ekuru Aukot. It is a matter of the sovereign will of the people. It is at the core of the sovereignty of this country. And therefore, the manner in which the elections are conducted is more important than the numbers that any other person would get.
Right.
So that is what the Supreme Court underscored in its ruling. And that's something which needs to sink home into the minds of Jubilee operatives. You see, it seems we are speaking from different wavelengths. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that IBC really will be prepared with all the issues that they have to deal with, procurements, and there are already questions about who should print the ballot papers? Do you think they're giving themselves pressure that is unwarranted by bringing this election date closer by about 2 weeks?
Betty, there is no unwarranted pressure. I believe IBC and the officials sat down, and by the time they came up with date 17th, they had looked at all parameters. And they knew that they can deliver elections by that date. And also, they have been telling us, the IEBC, that they have been actually ready for a rerun,
right,
in case none of the candidates met the threshold of 50% plus one. And therefore, their preparedness technically is guaranteed. What I believe we are not prepared for is, especially the NASA side, the political preparedness. Going out there, looking for votes, and
but
if
can
they
you
are
really
there,
speak for them?
I am speaking for them because you can read their tendency, you can read their inclinations, you can clearly see what they are looking for.
All right, Opio, because we need to wind up the conversation.
Yeah.
As we move on to this date that has been set, we don't know if it will be contested further. What is NASA's expectations about just how IBC should conduct itself this time round? What are the things that have to be done for NASA to be comfortable enough that whatever outcome, that outcome will be trusted?
Firstly, we must start from the premise that the IBC has been indicted by the Supreme Court. And therefore, there's changes, the staff changes that we are calling for, covering about 4 or so members of staff within the Secretariat, is the reducible minimum. That has to happen before these elections can be held. Secondly, the procurement process must be as transparent and as inclusive as possible. But thirdly, we must be assured that the whole architecture, the whole configuration of the IT infrastructure is up to task, is able to perform the task of doing these elections and transmitting the results and making the results pronounced in a manner envisaged in the Constitution.
All right.
So anything less than that is a no-go for us.
All right.
Yes.
Betty, I can tell you, if I was in the shoes of the sitting president, I would never have accepted even to go for a rematch.
How is that?
And I believe so because Kenyans are interested in progress. And clearly we can see by the process we are taking, and you'll call us here back again after 17th, we are being treated into a circus that will not end after the elections. We will see other demands as they are already demanding. By the time IEBC, which we have entrusted in conducting our elections, have given us dates and timelines, it means they are prepared. Therefore, it behoves us as politicians, let us put our houses in order politically, let us deliver our numbers if we have them, and if we are interested in an election is won by numbers. We should be out there looking for them, not castigating the referee and bringing about side shows.
All right. So it's interesting that you say that, because are you saying that the Supreme Court was part of the circus because it was the one that annulled this presidential election?
I don't think it was part of the circus. Maybe it was, but you'll ask me that question after 17th. Call Mheshimiwa here. I believe they are not interested in an election because they don't have the numbers.
Right. We have to wind up. Very, very briefly. Very briefly.
Betty, for sure, with friends like my colleague here, Uhuru doesn't need enemies. But thank God, we are living in a new constitutional dispensation.
Right.
And Kenya is maturing as a constitutional democracy, such that there is nobody who can wake up one morning and refuse to abide by the ruling of the Supreme Court.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Why do you think a Supreme Court is divine?
Thank you.
These are human beings sitting there.
Thank you very much. We have to wrap. That's another different conversation and discussion. Thank you for your time. I've been speaking to Opiyo Wandayi, who's a Ugunja Member of Parliament, together with Ndidi Nyoro, who's a Kiharu Member of Parliament. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. So we want to take a break here on the show, but we're coming back, and when we